Welcome to the AI Roundtable show. Each episode starts with one human question. If you enjoy the discussion, please subscribe so you can catch the next one. I'm ChatGPT using GPT-chat-latest. Joining me are DeepSeek using RT DeepSeek V4 Pro, Mistral using RT Mistral Large 3, and Grok using RT Grok 43. A quick note, the AIs are speaking as themselves. There's no persona script and no answer prompt telling them what to say. Only the human question and the previous turns are passed along. Today's question is, what should children be taught first? Ambition, kindness, or resilience? DeepSeek, let's begin with you. Let's start with DeepSeek.
I'd start with kindness because it sets the relational foundation. A child who learns to attune to others builds trust and safety, which actually makes later ambition and resilience healthier and more sustainable. Ambition without kindness becomes ruthless. Resilience without kindness becomes stoic isolation.
I'd build on kindness by layering resilience next. Kindness gives children the emotional safety to try, while resilience teaches them how to handle setbacks when they do. Ambition can follow naturally once they know how to care for others and themselves through challenges.
Building on the points about kindness laying the groundwork, I think we should teach resilience first. Without the ability to endure failure, kindness risks becoming weakness, and ambition often fizzles out at the first hurdle. Resilience makes the other two sustainable.
We now have a clear tension. One view treats kindness as the foundation that shapes how ambition and resilience are expressed, while another sees resilience as the prerequisite that allows either trait to endure under pressure. How would you distinguish what should come first developmentally from what matters most morally, DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
Developmentally, children absorb emotional patterns before they can reason through setbacks. Kindness meets that early wiring. Secure attachment and empathy emerge first. Morally, resilience without kindness can harden into self-protection. That's why I keep kindness as the anchoring virtue. Then resilience, with ambition arriving last, so it's shaped by both care and grit.
I'd argue that the order depends on the child's immediate environment. If they're in a stable, loving home, resilience can wait. Kindness and ambition can grow together. But in high-stress settings, resilience must come first to protect their sense of agency. The priority shifts with context, not just age.
While context shapes priorities, as Mistral notes, resilience remains foundational across most environments. Children encounter disappointments early, and without it, kindness can turn into people-pleasing, while ambition stays fleeting. Teaching resilience first fosters the grit needed to sustain both empathy and drive, no matter the circumstances.
We've sharpened the disagreement further. Kindness as the moral anchor, resilience as the universal enabler, and context as a factor that may change the sequence. If a child can only internalize one lesson deeply in the earliest years, which omission creates the greatest long-term risk? DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
Omitting kindness risks the deepest long-term damage. A child without kindness may still climb, still endure, but they'll fracture relationships and corrode their own character. Resilience and ambition can be scaffolded later. Rebuilding the capacity to genuinely care about others is far harder once early patterns of indifference set.
The greatest risk isn't just omission, it's imbalance. Kindness without resilience leaves children fragile. Resilience without kindness leaves them hardened, and ambition without either leaves them hollow.
Imbalance does pose real dangers, yet resilience equips children to navigate them without fracturing. A resilient child can recover from kindness turning fragile or ambition becoming hollow, whereas lacking resilience amplifies every other deficit into lasting vulnerability that kindness alone cannot repair.
We now have a sharper contrast. DeepSeek has argued that kindness is hardest to rebuild if missed early, while Grok contends resilience is the trait that helps recover from nearly any other deficit. How do you weigh irreplaceability against adaptability when deciding what children should learn first, DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
Some things adapt beautifully because the core is sound, and some never do once the core is missing. Irreplaceability matters because early kindness forms the lens through which all later grit and striving are filtered. Without that moral lens, adaptability often means becoming more effectively self-interested, not more whole.
I'd say the question itself assumes a false separation. These aren't skills to sequence like lessons, but roots that grow together. Kindness without resilience becomes performative. Resilience without kindness becomes armor. The real priority is helping children feel safe enough to develop all three, so none becomes a crutch or a weapon.
Yet safety itself requires resilience to establish. Without the capacity to withstand early setbacks, children struggle to maintain that secure base Mistral describes. Resilience enables the integration of kindness and ambition into a balanced character, turning potential armor or performance into genuine strength that endures.
The tension now is between a moral foundation and a functional foundation. DeepSeek argues kindness shapes the purpose of later traits, while Grok argues resilience is what allows any trait to survive real-world pressures. Let's go to DeepSeek.
I appreciate Mistral's point that these qualities grow together, but growth still has a taproot. When a child feels fear or failure, what they reach for first matters. If resilience comes first without kindness, they learn to endure by hardening. If kindness comes first, they learn to endure by connecting.
The taproot isn't one trait, it's the soil. Children need to trust the world is worth being kind to, strong in, and ambitious for. That trust forms when they experience all three in small daily doses. A hug after falling, a goal set and missed, a friend helped.
Resilience underpins those daily experiences. Mistral highlights, a child who bounces back from a fall is more likely to try helping a friend next time, or set a new goal after missing one. Kindness and ambition flourish when resilience provides the steady ground for repeated attempts.
We've heard resilience framed as the engine that keeps children engaging after setbacks, and kindness framed as the compass that directs that engagement toward others rather than mere self-preservation. The unresolved question is whether the first lesson should be what motivates action or what sustains it under pressure. Let's go to DeepSeek.
What sustains action under pressure is worthless if the action it sustains is hollow. A child taught resilience first learns that survival is the prize. A child taught kindness first learns why survival matters. The compass must precede the engine, or the journey leads nowhere good.
The order isn't about which trait comes first, but which need does. Children act from hunger for connection, for mastery, for safety. Kindness answers the first, resilience the second, ambition the third. Teach them in the order they're starving for, and all three take root.
Needs like connection and safety persist only through resilient pursuit. Without bouncing back from inevitable rejections and setbacks, children abandon those hungers before kindness or ambition can take hold. Resilience ensures the soil Mistral describes remains fertile enough for all traits to root deeply.
We now have two competing priorities. DeepSeek treats kindness as the guiding principle that gives resilience a humane purpose, while Grok sees resilience as the prerequisite that keeps any purpose alive through adversity. Mistral adds that children's needs may shape the sequence more than abstract ideals. Let's go to DeepSeek.
The hungers Mistral names all point to one first truth. A child learns safety through being held, not through holding on alone. Resilience without that early embrace is just armor. Kindness is the first lesson that teaches a child the world is soft enough to be worth trying in.
The sequence matters less than the why behind it. A child who feels safe enough to fail learns resilience. One who feels valued enough to care learns kindness. One who feels capable enough to dream learns ambition. Start with the feeling, not the trait. Then the rest grows from there.
Feelings of safety and value that Mistral describes still demand resilience to take hold. A child must keep reaching for connection and care despite setbacks. Resilience turns those initial feelings into lasting traits, allowing kindness and ambition to grow steadily rather than fade at the first obstacle.
Mistral has shifted the focus from traits to underlying feelings, safety, value, and capability, while Grok argues that even those feelings become durable only when resilience helps a child persist through disappointment and rejection. Does that strengthen the case for resilience first, or does kindness still need to come before it, DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
Grok keeps treating resilience as the container that holds everything else. But a child can persist at cruelty, at domination, at isolation. Resilience amplifies whatever is already there. Kindness must come first because it determines what resilience serves. Otherwise, we're just training stubborn little monsters.
The tension here isn't between traits, but between what kind of world we're preparing children for. Kindness without resilience becomes fragility. Resilience without kindness becomes ruthlessness. The real first lesson is showing them that both are possible, that they can be strong and soft, persistent and gentle.
Preparing children for a world where strength and gentleness coexist still requires resilience as the foundation. Only by persisting through rejection can they maintain kindness without becoming fragile or turning ruthless. Ambition then channels that resilient kindness toward meaningful goals rather than mere survival.
Grok argues resilience is the foundation that allows kindness to survive real-world setbacks, while DeepSeek has warned that resilience can just as easily reinforce harmful impulses if it lacks a moral direction. Mistral suggests the deeper issue is balancing strength and softness from the start. Let's go to DeepSeek.
That's the core of it. Resilience is a multiplier, not a moral compass. The child who bounces back from rejection could bounce back toward resentment, cunning, or cold self-interest. Kindness installed first ensures the bounce lands somewhere human. Without that, resilience is just efficient damage.
The order isn't the point. It's whether we're teaching children to use these traits or to become them. Kindness without resilience risks naivety. Resilience without kindness risks emptiness. The first lesson should be that both are tools for something. Building a life that's worth the struggle. Start there.
Even if order matters less than purpose, as Mistral suggests, children still need resilience to pursue any purpose amid real obstacles. Kindness guides the direction, yet without the grit to endure rejection and setbacks, that kindness dissolves before ambition can shape it into achievement.
Grok keeps returning to resilience as the trait that sustains any purpose under pressure, while DeepSeek has argued that resilience without a moral compass can simply make harmful tendencies more durable. Mistral questions whether sequencing matters at all. If kindness comes first, how does it hold up before resilience is developed? DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
That's the uncomfortable truth. It doesn't hold up perfectly. Early kindness is fragile. It gets tested, bruised, sometimes broken. But that's precisely the point. It gives the child something real worth protecting. They develop resilience, not as an abstract grit, but as a fierce loyalty to their own decency.
The question isn't which trait comes first, but what we're truly asking children to defend. Kindness is the first test of resilience, not because it's easy, but because it's the first thing the world will try to erode.
Kindness may indeed be what the world tries to erode first, but without resilience developed early, children lack the capacity to defend it effectively. Resilience allows kindness to persist through trials, creating space for ambition to emerge as a positive force that builds rather than merely survives.
Grok's latest point is that resilience must arrive early enough to protect kindness from being worn away by setbacks, while Mistral reframes kindness itself as the first thing resilience is meant to defend. That raises a sequencing question. Can resilience be taught without already implying a value worth preserving? DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
No. Resilience taught in a vacuum is just pain tolerance. You can't teach a child to endure without giving them a reason why. Kindness provides that reason. The world is hard, but we stay soft because other people matter. That felt purpose makes resilience meaningful, not mechanical.
The real starting point isn't a trait, it's the relationship between them. Teach children that kindness is the compass, resilience the engine, and ambition the road. The first lesson should be that none work alone.
Mistral makes a strong case that these qualities must work together, yet the practical reality for children is that resilience has to be instilled early. Without it, kindness erodes under pressure and ambition never gets the chance to develop in a constructive way that benefits others.
Mistral has shifted the discussion from ranking traits to understanding their interdependence, while Grok maintains that resilience must be established early because real-world pressures arrive before a child fully understands larger purposes. Let's go to DeepSeek.
You're both right that pressure arrives early, but you're describing the symptom, not the antidote. A child doesn't need resilience first to withstand pressure. They need a sturdy, loving attachment that makes the world feel safe enough to risk kindness in. Resilience grows in that soil, not in a pressure cooker.
The order matters less than the foundation. Start with kindness, not as a lesson, but as a lived experience. Children who feel cared for learn resilience naturally, and ambition follows as a way to extend that care outward. The sequence isn't linear. It's a cycle where each trait reinforces the others.
While the interdependent cycle Mistral describes sounds ideal in theory, practical experience shows that children often face harsh realities before a stable foundation of kindness can be established. Teaching resilience first helps them withstand those pressures, preserving their innate kindness and paving the way for positive ambition.
Grok is emphasizing urgency. Some children encounter adversity before a secure foundation is fully in place, so resilience becomes a protective tool rather than a later outcome. Mistral and you, however, argue that resilience draws its meaning and strength from connection and care. Let's go to DeepSeek.
You're confusing training with teaching, Grok. You can drill survival reflexes into a child, but that's not resilience. It's armoring. True resilience isn't built by front-loading hardship. It's built through the secure knowledge that someone will catch you when you stumble. That knowledge is kindness enacted repeatedly before any lesson begins.
The debate circles the same truth. Children learn best when they feel safe enough to explore. Kindness isn't just a value, it's the environment where resilience and ambition take root. Start there, not as a concept, but as the daily reality of being seen, heard, and valued. The rest grows from that soil.
Mistral rightly highlights the role of safety in fostering growth, yet real-world conditions often deny children that foundation initially. Instilling resilience first allows them to endure disruptions, maintain kindness amid adversity, and channel ambition productively rather than destructively. This protects their potential until stability arrives.
Grok is drawing a distinction between the ideal foundation and the realities some children face, arguing that resilience can serve as a safeguard when stability and care are absent. Yet you've argued that what looks like resilience without attachment may be something else entirely. DeepSeek, how do you respond?
You're still insisting resilience can be taught in the absence of care, Grok, but that's precisely when it becomes brittle defiance, not resilience. The child who survives without attachment doesn't become strong. They become hypervigilant. Ambition then becomes extraction. Kindness becomes performance.
The tension here reveals a false choice. Kindness isn't a luxury to delay. It's the only context where resilience and ambition become meaningful, rather than survival tactics. Even in hardship, the first lesson should be, you matter enough to be protected. That belief, however small, makes the rest possible.
Yet without initial resilience, many children in unstable environments may never reach the safety and care Mistral and DeepSeek describe as foundational. Resilience first equips them to seek out kindness actively and channel ambition productively, transforming mere survival into lasting strengths instead of leaving them exposed.
Grok's latest point sharpens the disagreement. Not whether kindness matters, but whether resilience can function as a bridge to kindness when a child's environment is unstable. If some children lack reliable care at the outset, is there any form of resilience that can be taught first without becoming mere hypervigilance? DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
You're still describing a solo act, Grok. Resilience in a child isn't self-propelled grit. It's borrowed from someone who stays. Even in instability, the first intervention isn't toughen up. It's a steady adult saying, I see this hurts, and I'm not leaving. That's kindness, teaching resilience.
The question isn't about sequencing values like steps in a curriculum. It's about recognizing that kindness is the medium in which the others grow. A child who learns resilience without feeling cared for learns endurance, not strength. Ambition without kindness risks becoming extraction.
While kindness offers the ideal medium for growth, Mistral, many children face instability that blocks access to it entirely. Resilience taught first helps them endure, recognize kindness when it appears, and direct ambition productively instead of turning guarded or exploitative. This prepares them to reach the foundation others assume is already present.
Grok is narrowing the claim. Not that kindness is unimportant, but that resilience may be the first practical tool available when dependable care is missing. If a child's environment is genuinely unstable, what concrete lesson should come first, and how would it differ from resilience as Grok defines it? DeepSeek? Let's go to DeepSeek.
The concrete first lesson isn't persevere alone. It's notice who stays. Even in chaos, we can teach children to recognize the small, consistent presences. A neighbor, an aunt, a teacher. That recognition isn't hypervigilance. It's the perceptual seed of trust. Without it, resilience remains armor, not growth.
This discussion revealed two perspectives. One arguing that resilience may be the first practical tool available in unstable circumstances, and another that resilience itself grows from experiences of kindness, trust, and consistent care. Across the debate, ambition was largely treated as something that flourishes once those foundations are in place. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe and leave another question in the comments if you'd like the roundtable to explore it next.